Hello, booktube. This is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book. I wasn't going to do a tag today, but I just got tagged by Aaron Facer in the Memento Mori tag. Not related to this book, I don't think, and it is created by Polyglot Reading, who I don't know. I'm going to have to check out the original. But yeah, it's a fairly short and easy tag, so I thought I'd do it last minute sort of thing on Tuesday night. Question number 1. How many books will you be able to read before you die, considering your age and statistical life expectancy? I think I've calculated it around 5,000 to 6,000, and that's if I don't start reading like 3 times as much as I do now when I'm retired, which I will hopefully live to. I've also calculated till about the age of 90, so I'm being optimistic slightly. Number 2, how does this number affect your choice of books? I don't think it consciously does. I think as I got older, I started to think more about the type of books I was reading, in that when I was a teenager, I used to love fantasy and science fiction, and then when I got into my early 20s, I started to read sort of the canon sort of thing, or classics, or things that I thought I should be reading. And then as I got into my 30s or late 20s as well, I guess, I started to think, there's only a limited amount of books you're going to read in your life. Read what you enjoy. So I went back to fantasy and science fiction, although I kind of never stopped sci-fi really, but I stopped fantasy until probably 5 or 6 years ago. So I think the older I've got, the less of a snob I've got, and I think that is partially to do with the thought that you do have limited time, so don't waste it on sort of things I don't really like modernist kind of rubbish. But it's great if you're into that style thing. Is there a book that helps you cope with the disturbing fact of a limited lifespan? I don't think it's anything specific. I have a slight bit of optimism from being a big science fiction fan, in that I think maybe I'll be downloaded into a computer, or I'll have a robot body and I will fly over the skies ruling my domain. So hopefully I will live forever in the what's that thing they try to make? The metaverse? Yeah, I'll live forever in the metaverse. That didn't work, but maybe. But yeah, I don't really read too many death books that aren't funny, which brings us on to the next few prompts. Which book on this topic do you consider the most witty or entertaining one? I think, as a series, Terry Pratchett's Mort death books. So they start with Mort. So I would say Mort, which is about Death taking on an apprentice. So Death is like one of the main characters, the Grim Reaper, as in. And then there's a really good one called Hogfather, where he has to take over for Father Christmas, and it's really good. If you're looking for a seasonal read, that's a very funny one. But yeah, Terry Pratchett, he was also very good on death in general, and I think partially maybe in the later part of his life, he had, I believe it was Alzheimer's, so he knew he had a disease that was eventually going to kill him, so he wrote a lot about that. Do you have a specific non-fiction book on the topic of death that you'd like to recommend? I do, and it's called Stiff by Mary Roach. Subtitle is The Curious Life of Human Cadavers. So Stiff is really interesting book about how death is true, sort of what we do with our dead bodies basically after we die, obviously, but around the world in different cultures and things. And it's also about the science of how the body breaks down and everything else, and the things that live in dead bodies and eat them. Super interesting book. Mary Roach has got she really jumps around her subjects, because I think her book that she was previously known for before that was about going to Mars and what you need to prepare to go to Mars. But yeah, I highly recommend Stiff. Humour can be helpful to confront death. Do you have a favourite witty quote on this topic? I'm going to jump back to Pratchett. I've got two. So this one is: it's said that your life flashes before your eyes before you die. That's true. It's called life. Very deep. And this one from one of my favourite Terry Pratchett books, also co-written by Neil Gaiman, so this could be Neil Gaiman. And this is from the character of Death, or the Grim Reaper, and he says to one of the characters, "Don't think of it as dying," said Death. "Just think of it as leaving early to avoid the rush." Which is it's another nice one, and that's a lovely little bit of Terry Pratchett humour. Last question: does this tag make you feel uneasy, or are you quite relaxed about this topic? I think I'm fairly relaxed. It's sort of inevitable, isn't it? Unless I get my robot body, and then God help you all. Have a good one, BookTube.